Next up on our agenda, we have Lynn McGregor, the copyright officer at NSCC, and Lana Penny, who's the curriculum consultant at NSCC. And they are going to discuss OERs at NSCC, pilots and partnerships, library services, and the School of Access.
I'm Lana, so I'm the curriculum consultant for the School of Access. And before we start, I have to just read you one thing that the dean wanted me to include. So I did not memorize it, but it's here. NSCC is an open access college committed to removing barriers and creating equitable opportunities for learners through access education. So I'm representing the School of Access. One of the things that we were looking for in the school was how could we use the college's new policies on educational equity to make sure that all of our resources are available to all of our students. So that's something that's going on right now, but our project for the OER has actually been going on for 3 or 4 years. So I'll tell you some more stats. So the School of Access, we provide a high school completion program for adults who haven't finished high school, and upgrading for students who have graduated high school. And then we also have a number of transition programs out there. So some of you may have heard of programs like Achieve that we have on 9 campuses across the college. We have in total about 1,400 students and over 200 faculty and staff just for the School of Access. And we teach our access programs at 17 campuses and learning centers. So we're pretty widespread. We're not in one spot, we're all across this province. So right now you want to know what we use in access. So we've been doing this together, Lynn and I, for a while now. We now have 7 courses in the school that do use OER. Most of them use more than one piece of OER, so we may use a couple of chapters from a textbook, we may use, I forgot to put my timer on, we may use some open apps, we may use some websites, we use a little bit of everything in those 7. And we've been pretty successful with that, so we decided to come up with a plan over the next 3 years where we're going to transform all of our clusters of courses into using OER over the next 3 years. So coming up for 1920, we're going to work on all our science clusters, so all our science courses, which are pre-grade 12 and post-grade 12, depending on where they are in access. And then over the next couple of years, we plan to migrate all of the other clusters that we have. So we have like a digital literacy cluster, a communications cluster, social studies cluster. So it's a little mix between high school and college. So here's the wrinkle that most of you don't have. In the School of Access, if you're an ALP student, an adult high school student, we pay for all the resources. The school pays for all the resources. So in this case, the School of Access will benefit because we wouldn't be paying out all those money for textbooks. We buy class sets for every class, and as I said, we have like 17 campuses with classes, so that's a lot of students. But our other students, the ACC students and students in some other programs, we expect that they will save in textbook costs about $700 to $1,000. Depends. Most of our students that aren't in ALP actually are there to upgrade science marks, and as everybody knows, science textbooks and resources are the most expensive. So that's what we're planning on doing for those. So we're also working with the library and the copyright office to support all our faculty as we start to develop OER. And we're trying to dispel some of the myths. Now, a couple of people have said this, so I wrote it down because this is what I get the most often from faculty, and you can probably guess. It's like, oh, I love the idea, but we need a print book. It's hard for them to see it on their phone. So I explain over and over again that just because it's delivered to us digitally doesn't mean that we can't print it. So we have been printing OERs in some cases, and we would like to expand on how we print and maybe, do that bookstore thing because that's so interesting. So that's so the last thing I want to say before I get to Lynn, our biggest challenge is convincing all our faculty and staff that we're not just replacing a commercial textbook with an open textbook. That's not what we want to do. We want to look at the way we teach and create open resources for each course. So don't just move from commercial to open. Use everything. And there.
Wow.
How's that? Yes,
We're
I am.
taking that 10-minute time limit seriously.
We got some leeway.
So one of our previous speakers from KPU wrote a great article, or was it a blog post that Lana discovered
it was a blog post.
shared with us about open education champions. And in reading the article, I thought it provided a really nice roadmap. And he's essentially said in his article, like, this is a way, kind of he called it his recipe for OER success. And in looking at it, I thought, oh, intuitively, we're doing a lot of these things. You know, we have a lot of these elements happening organically at our college. Lana and I were both looking for the grassroots support, the faculty who were open-minded, interested, because that's where you're going to have that uptake. You know, the other slide earlier had that sharp end of the pencil. Well, we were looking for the end of the pencil. Who were the people out there? Where was there the support? My role being the copyright officer at the college, I have an opportunity to be speaking to faculty, students, lots of different groups at the college, at different campuses. And every time I'm speaking, I always have some time allotted to talking about open educational resources, open textbooks. It's a concept that a lot of our faculty are not aware of. And when they hear about it, they're really interested. And I think that's very much where we're going to find more of the sharp end of the pencils. That's where we're going to find the people to partner with. We're very lucky that we have support from directors who value and support the initiatives. Let that be part of our jobs, because, you know, maybe that wouldn't be in some institutions. You know, the copyright officer maybe wouldn't be given as much free time as part of their position to be out supporting and helping and growing the efforts. I want to go to the next slide. So very much, you know, my role is education promotion, looking for opportunities and interest, looking for people to partner with, to collaborate with. So when I'm out giving a presentation about OER, I always offer myself up as a support, as a resource person. And so some of the projects have happened from that interested faculty in the group approaching me and saying, I have this course, I'm interested in finding some materials, will you help me? So I've worked with some faculty, helping them to find OERs for their courses that way. So that's sort of the curated list. They're still the subject expert. I look at my role as finding the potential list, the curated list of resources for them to consider as the subject expert. And also providing the understanding of how to customize. A lot of our faculty, they like the idea of customizing, but they don't really understand copyright is scary, you know, getting over the hurdle of what they can do, how they can do it. So we started to look for, I have no idea where I am at time, I lost my...
Don't worry.
I can say it again.
So in looking for sort of those collaboration, the interest, the School of Access seemed to just provided a natural partnership. They had a curriculum consultant who was already out looking for interest and doing the education and promotion on her own. So there was this natural partnership, you know, where we had the same goals, we had the same interests. And Lana knew the faculty in her division who were open and interested. And so as Lana was saying, we've had a couple of projects where we haven't just found OERs, we've created the NSCC customized versions where we've taken the course outlines and the outcomes, and we've sat down with we had a workshop for a day where we worked with the faculty talking, you know, helping them figure out how to adapt it to the NSCC outcomes, and that's ongoing support from Lana's position as the curriculum consultant. And I've kind of fallen into sort of I think it sounds like of the natural librarian position of the technological support in terms of how are we going to create the end product. We looked at Pressbooks, but Lana's feeling for our initial part of our pilot that it was too complex and that the faculty weren't ready for it. We had some other hurdles to overcome with them first. So our customized versions of open textbooks right now are in PDF. But in the next phase of our project, we're hoping to move into Pressbooks. Having looked at a lot of open textbooks, it seems to me that a lot of institutions are using a customized OER template. So if I go look at a textbook from one university to another university, there's a very recognizable style template in a lot of them. It makes them look like they've come from one, from one publisher in a sense, because they all have this very standardized approach, which definitely has its benefits. And then as a way of making the textbooks accessible, because it's important that they're using the customized versions, that all of this work with Lana and her faculty have gone into creating the customized versions. How do we make sure that they have access to them? And our solution right now is to host them on our LibGuides Open Education Resources Guide. And it has the added benefit of, most of you in the room will know the LibGuides platform well. You can take those content boxes and embed them right into Brightspace. So we share out the embed code to the faculty, who embed the textbook into their Brightspace course. Some of the faculty are super keen and are creating the equivalent of the publisher's supplementary resources that as a lot of faculty really like. So Lana has faculty who are creating those, and we're putting those in the tabs that are part of the box. So when the faculty embeds the box and LibGuides into their Brightspace course, they get the textbook and they get whatever materials the faculty or multiple faculty have created. And that's our practical current pilot. Yeah, ongoing.
Thank you. Any questions from the room or online? And online you can speak if you wish to. Just unmute yourself, or you can type and I can translate, whichever your preference. Oh yeah, Roger.
Question about IP policy. Is my understanding it's a bit different for college system, whereas work that's created in the course of employment that results in the employer.
Yeah, it means we have it a lot easier than the university when it comes to projects like this. They're not thinking of they don't have that concern that was described earlier of I'm interested until I figure out that, oh, wait a minute, it's going to be shared beyond the class that I'm teaching. Yeah.
And so going along with that, do you have sort of an approach or a policy where you're saying everything that we develop in the course of this is going to be licensed by a certain college license, or what's your approach there?
Well, if one of the conditions of taking an open textbook and modifying it is you're agreeing to continue to keep it open and share it forward. So the new textbook we create has the same license attached to it. Is that what you mean?
That would be a provision of the share alike necessarily, but
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering from your approach of just doing it kind of locally, how do you kind of?
Well, it's one of the reasons why the School of Access is a great place to start, because the instructors in those programs tend to have a BEd. Do they all have a BEd?
At least a BEd. Yes.
So their approach is different. They value the sharing. Their focus is on getting the information out to the students, and we really haven't bumped into anybody who has the attitude of not wanting to share it. They embrace sharing, they value sharing, and I think that's why they're a great place for us to start with this pilot, because we don't have to deal with any of those issues. We can focus on the other, working out the bugs in the adaptation and the customization. And hopefully now with our next phase, get using Pressbooks and getting them out on that platform, and then as we're moving out, sort of talking to other faculty, we're getting more buy-in from the instructors who are teaching in other programs. So there was an instructor who was teaching marketing and entrepreneurship, and was in one of the talks that I gave, and approached and said, you said you would help. Do you mean that? And so gave them the curated, went out, yes, found them a curated list of materials, and they're using that content. So that's an example, though, of they didn't write it themselves. They're using the open content that was sourced that met what they were teaching, and have incorporated into their course, and they've added their own content to it, and it's though I think that's where we're getting that's more of a finding a person by person to collaborate and work with it within a faculty, but I think that's where the more people are doing that and then share that experience within the group that they're teaching in, that business program, then we're going to see the building out of more support and more interest.
That's really interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cindy, I just wanted to mention, Alana mentioned at the beginning there about the educational policy, which is, I think, its own first most institutions. So this lines up quite beautifully with a policy like that. So I think we're lucky in that regard to kind of hang on that particular type of policy as well.
Any other questions in the room or online? Oh, audio is dropping out. Oops. That's okay. I think that was just because it was the other side. That's why I copied it. Thank you both very much.